Madhouse Podcasting Network.
Hey, what's happening, everybody? Thank you for joining us for another episode of Behind the Mask. Today we have special guest Jordan Allen, one of my boys from Orlando, Florida. Jordan, what's up, dude? How's it going?
Good. I'm doing great. Good to talk to you guys.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you
Thanks
coming
for
on.
coming on. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I'm excited. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Scott.
Go ahead.
But I'm excited to have you on. I didn't know. Well, Scott might have mentioned it, but I probably just forgot because, old age. But I just saw on your forum that you worked Horror Nights for Halloween and Hollywood and Orlando, which I'm excited about because you are our first Horror Nights monster on the podcast. And
oh, nice. Awesome.
Yeah, so, I mean, we'll get to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, prepare for all the questions.
Absolutely.
Scott hates when I talk about Horror Nights because I don't hate it. I'm very critical when it comes to Horror Nights, extremely critical. But it comes from a very artistic place.
Yes.
I don't hate on them because I hate them. I hate on them because they're, I don't hate them.
He doesn't.
No.
I don't hate them. I'm just very critical.
He's an angry artist.
It's just like, don't get me wrong, the artistry is amazing, but there's just a lot of things they do. I'm just like, why do you fucking do that?
Oh, I agree. And you know what? And I don't mind saying it on here, going to like other events for so long and then working that event for so many years, I see both of it. It's a lot of it's a very ooh, ah,
Yeah.
But in terms of the heart of scaring even and making it a true haunt event in terms of people getting scared, it's kind of gone away from that a little bit.
Yeah, it really just feels more like, okay, let's just pack them all in. Let's make pretty mazes, pack them all in, and conga line the whole night.
Yep.
Then,
Get them through.
Yeah.
Yep,
And then just, if people don't want to wait in lines, just charge them 3 times as much and have them go wait in their tiny line. Yeah. Anyways, we can go on and on and on.
No, we'll get to it.
I'm telling you, we already got on the tangent.
You see how it goes already. It's like we try to do timeline, but it goes back and forth.
Yeah, no worries at all.
Well, let's start the timeline.
Yeah.
All right.
We always want to start it out with how people start, what inspired them, yada, yada, yada. And I mean, besides the fact you fucking made me feel super old in 2019. That was hilarious. But,
absolutely.
Yeah. So, well, let's just get to it. Like, okay, before everybody, before, we get into it though, I mean, just so all the viewers know, you're a born and raised kid from Huntington Beach, California, came up on KSF, and then you transplanted to Florida where you're at now. But let's talk a little bit about your early days and what actually got you into the idea. I want to go scare the shit out of people for, to make a little bit of money. What's your drive behind that?
Yeah. When I was younger, growing up again in Huntington, in Southern California, the haunt everyone went to, of course, was Knott's Scary Farm. And I remember the first time though I ever saw like a haunt in terms of knowing what it was. I was going to medieval times there at Buena Park with my family, and I was probably like 12 years old. And across the street, I knew Knott's was there, obviously, but I was like, oh, what's that? Why does it look all different? Like the fog was coming over the wall and everything from Camp Snoopy and all that. And my mom and dad were like, oh, they have a Halloween event, and then my brothers who had gone to it were like, no, that's not Scary Farm. Like, we're going to take you there when, mom and dad let you go. And then we went to medieval times where they had this like cheap, like little haunt in there that was like little, like walk through a hall thing, and that was the first little haunt I went into, but it was funny because Not Scary Farm was literally like right across the street. Yeah. And, yeah, it was crazy. And then like for those couple years after that, I was constantly like, what's Not Scary Farm? Like, I want to know more about it. Like, I want to go see it more. And my brothers actually, every Halloween, and my dad would build like a little like haunted house, like little thing out in our front yard. Nothing crazy, but we just kind of scare people for fun, And I was young. I wasn't, doing much. And then my buddy on the other side of town, he would do a full-blown haunted house that he would build every year. So then he started asking all of like us from school, like, hey, I need people to scare people. And we jump in. I'd start scaring people at like 13, 14 years old, you know, and stuff like that. And then finally my parents said I could go to Not Scary Farm. So then the year I finally went to Not Scary Farm, I think I was like 15 years old. And I was sold. Ghost Town to this day is my favorite street. It is my favorite area of any kind of haunt in this world, straight up.
Yeah.
And happened to see a certain slider during a show prior to that.
At 15 years old?
Yeah, that was happened to be you. Now that I know. Oh, that was what Scott? What year was that? Like it was towards it wasn't towards the end for you, but like.
Well, when you were 15, so what year was that? I don't even know what are you, 29 now, 30?
I'm 30, but it was like, It was around 13 or 15 years old. So like it would have to have been.
So 15, 17 years ago, that was early 2000s.
Early 2000s, yes.
Early 2000s, yeah.
Yeah.
So I would say around 2003, 2004.
Yeah, that sounds about right, if I remember correctly.
That was one of my last years in the hanging cast.
Yes, that's what you told me. I remember it was towards the end. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just remember watching you guys, because you guys did the pre-show still, obviously, prior to and stuff and all that. And I was sold. Like I was like, I want to be a scare actor. And always in the back of my mind, though, was watching you guys slide. That was always in the back of my head.
Right.
That was the big thing, because I was like, what is this? You know?
Yeah.
Because not only like scaring, but then like seeing something else like sliding. I was like, what is that? You know what I mean? But yeah, that was kind of the beginning like push into like being exposed to it. So working like doing fun little haunts in the neighborhood, but going to haunts, that was like the main push into starting to do it.
Okay.
Right. But you always had a passion for it when you were a kid. Just the holiday. We always say holiday, but it really isn't. The holiday, Halloween. Yeah.
Yeah. Holiday, Halloween.
Yeah.
So the thing I'm curious is,
ahead,
you know, you grew up in SoCal and you go to haunt, and obviously you kept going throughout the years. How come you never worked it?
Knots. I wanted to work specifically in Knots a lot, but there was, at the time I was also getting into, I was a cadet firefighter.
Okay.
Doing a lot of that. So it kind of took away a lot of time, and I played football in high school early on a lot too. So it kind of took a lot of time from starting like working at a theme park haunt earlier. Kind of took my nights away, because obviously, as we all know, haunt season requires you to like be there your whole weekend, you know, and all that.
Yeah.
So that kind of took away from a little bit, until I finally was able to get picked up with like a few small haunts, and then HH in Hollywood, where they were like, the scheduling at the time wasn't as crazy in terms of like, oh, you could work a couple nights here and there, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I started getting into that, but I'll be honest, to this day, I wish I could have worked like Knots for sure. And if I had stayed and not moved there, I definitely would have auditioned.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
What a crazy little world.
Oh yeah. It really is. Somebody knows somebody from here, and like, and especially like you said, you know, Keenan, you and me all growing up and being in the same area and then meeting each other in Orlando, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You guys are transplants, and another guy from California flies in, and I'm like, and the funny thing is, like, you brought up Keenan, like I actually got front loaded with him from David. He told me,
oh yeah,
this kid he was in Boardwalk at Knott's. I'm like, oh really? So it was
that's crazy.
Yeah. Because when you guys, I know we're jumping ahead, but
yeah, that's all right.
When you guys came, saw the hiring process for Dark Horizon, as soon as that happened, I think it was 2 days later, David reached out to me and says, hey, here's the deal. Like, after I kind of told him the scenario, he's like, here's the deal. This guy so-and-so. And I'm like, okay, that helps.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, but I want to touch on that. I mentioned earlier that old moment. So I want to touch on how that came about.
Yes.
So I didn't even realize, Jeremy, that Jordan was from Huntington Beach until he told me this.
Yeah.
So we're going through, it was probably day 2 or 3 of training, right?
Early on. Yeah. Within the first week.
Yeah. So we were talking, and he's like, and he decides to say, oh yeah, I remember you, sliding in the pit pre-show at Haunt, you know, and I was a kid when I used to go with my dad. I'm like, what? And he starts telling me this scenario. I'm like, well, fuck, I feel old now.
Yeah. I think
funny.
I think I showed you, but it wasn't, I don't know if it was with you, I remember, but it was with a few of you guys. Remember that photo I think I showed you, I took like with a bunch of you guys.
I did
and
not see
it was, yeah, I don't think you saw it, but Keenan, I showed Keenan, I think, but I don't think you were in it, but like, it was right before the hanging. It was right there in the pit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
it was funny.
I could name every character that was with you in that picture.
Oh, 100%. I'll send it to you tonight. I'll look it up. I'll just send it to you tonight so you can look at it. I'll take a picture of it.
Oh, I want to see that.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Wonder if I'm in it.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering too. I'm wondering. You might even be in it.
He used to come in to do the show with us too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. You probably are, to be honest with you. It was a good number of you guys, I think, in the photo, to be honest with you, because it was me and my brothers, if I remember, and there's probably like 6 of you in it. So
okay, yeah, because I know there was a total of 8 of us in the show.
Yeah.
During the course of the hanging going, and then we used to bring in like
there'd be like 15 of us,
4 or 5 more people, yeah, to come in and do the show. And then once they do the 5-minute call, all the people that weren't directly in the show, they would go back out and do their thing,
which was always better. It was always better. We just go for the 15 minutes of the pre-show and then it's like, all right, later.
Be done.
Yeah.
I was always happy to do that.
Yes.
We just go get a quick break and then we go back out and scare.
Yeah. Get back out there, right?
That's right.
It's like, okay, we're gonna go over here and play a little bit, and then we're gonna go play some more and scare the shit out of people.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
So you mentioned that you did Haunted Hayride too.
That was that was early on. That was back, it was only 1 year, and it was back when it was literally just you. I mean, you definitely remember it was just the hayride.
Yeah.
Like there was really no other festival part at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. I forgot. I'm trying to remember what year. That was the very beginning. Again, I all these, it's been so long now of everything, but it was just, all I was like a character in a tree. Like literally, that's all. Literally, just like they literally gave me a ghillie suit and they were just like, just hang out right here and shake this can and like move out,
Jeez.
Like, yeah, it was crazy, but it was literally just a ride. I remember it wasn't even like now, like, cause you remember working it too now, where it's like a whole, they have their own area, like little festival spots and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this was back in, if I remember, it was definitely like around, it was like 2000, probably 2008, maybe even around there beforehand. Like it was very smaller compared to what it is now.
So was that your first job?
My first main one where I got paid. Yeah. That was the first time I had gotten paid. Okay. Yep.
So that's your first step into the professional world. Okay.
Yep. And then through there, they had people that were doing Haunted Hayride that had offered us jobs to do this experience in LA called, I think it was Haunted Campground, maybe.
Yeah.
And it was one of the first ones where like people came and paid to be in a tent overnight.
Yeah.
Yep.
Antho was trying to, Antho and a couple other people, you don't know who they are. Well, you might, I don't know. But anyways, they all wanted to go do it. And I was like, I ain't gonna do that shit.
Yeah. Oh, it was so
gonna get you or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
You basically, it's acting out.
No. The Great Horror Campout.
Great Horror Campout. That was it. The Great Horror Campout. That was it.
Where you go and live out your a real like Friday the 13th or something. And from the stuff that they did was kind of cool. But it was, for me, it was like, I'm not gonna spend like $130, something like that.
Yeah, it was expensive.
Yeah, so I was like, no, thank you.
It was a little, though, I'm not gonna lie, it was a little bootleg too.
Some of it I'm like, dude. But.
So was that event where you obviously you pay the money and you stay till the next day, or is it?
Yeah,
you
it
spend
was
the night. You can't. you literally camp out.
The whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And there was people too. They had like something too, like how all the events now kind of have the whole terror up, fear up thing,
right?
Where you kind of get touched and stuff. Like that was the first time where I know that was kind of a thing, more so where they were like, oh, you could get pulled out of your tent kind of thing. And then they take you to another area. And I remember they did a little bit of that. And I think the one night, because they did like two, I think I did twice, where the one night I was one of those walking things where they put the stilts on your arms.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
And they kind of make you walk like this, like just like long arm thing. And like we were supposed to just walk around the tent when they were asleep too, because they'd have lights they would turn on for the campsite, and then the lights would flicker and turn off, you know? So you see our shadows through the tents.
Oh, wow.
So that was kind of cool, you know? But then there was something like logistical issues in terms of like bathrooms and stuff for people was kind of like sketchy and stuff. And, but I'm like, I didn't care. I'm not spending the night. I'm just working for the night and then leaving, you know? So,
Yeah. I'm going home.
Yeah, I don't even put up with that, but it was pricey. You weren't wrong. It was pricey.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Where was that? That was out in LA too, somewhere, right?
I think so.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was out in well, later on they did something near somewhere near LA Park or something, but this wasn't that. This was kind of like near
the old LA Zoo.
Yeah, LA Zoo. Yeah, that's what this one though was a little bit more north. Not like north towards Six Flags necessarily, but like more that direction in like an open, like kind of Griffith Park kind of setting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where Hayride is held now.
Is now. Park. Yep, in Griffith Park. Yep.
Yeah. Gotcha. So okay, after that, that was your first experience where you're like, shit, I want to do more of this, or were you kind of like, I don't know, what's, you know?
Yeah, I wanted to. It got me more into it, and the funny part was, again, like the whole, like I mentioned, knots and all the scheduling was kind of like hard for me a little bit to do like these full theme park ones at the time. I don't know, honestly, I don't know how I do them now either, as you know, Scott, with my schedule, but
it's insane.
But that's when I decided to, me and a bunch of friends, there was a couple people that had done knots, and like they would bounce around from working knots, and then they worked like HHN Hollywood, you know, and stuff like that. And I went out to audition for HHN Hollywood then, it was like 2 years after that, if I remember.
So 2010 ish.
Yeah. End of high school. Yeah. 2010, 2000, around there. And went out to do that. And I really enjoyed like the process of that, but I only did that part like for a year. I didn't work that event any more than that. But just because of, again, I thought like, oh, it's a theme park one, like knots, it's going to be a big, you know, like it's going to be, you know, organized or like, well, like put together more. But it was not like kind of what they promised in terms of like, oh, this is going to happen. It didn't happen. And then like the days that were like given off, they weren't given off anymore. So it wasn't like a bad taste in my mouth at all, like in that sense, but it was kind of hectic. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was not what I expected it to be, you know? And then that's also when I learned too, that like, I'll do my time in a house, but I knew like I need to be in the street. Like I want to experience streets, you know?
Yeah. Right.
So
it's definitely a different experience.
Can you give us an idea how their, at least for back then, how their audition process was?
Yeah, they kind of like a little bit how it is now. They would almost, it depends. Like they would go in and they'd have a little bit more where like, okay, say your name. If you're new, say your name, and then say, you know, your favorite movie. Horror movie, whatever it might be. Sometimes I heard people say Candy and stuff, and they do all that stuff for Orlando and stuff too. And then there was a couple groups where I remember where they'd ask a couple people to come in, and then they'd be like, you know, just be zombies for like a minute, you know, give us a zombie, give us a werewolf, you know, kind of stuff like that. And then after that, they'd pull a couple more people in to be like, you know, hey, would you shave your head? You know, and then you say yes or no, and they're like, okay, like, hey, you know, would you shave your beard? If you had like they had specific spots for people that they would ask them, you know, change your physical appearance or something like that. So definitely not as extensive as I know that some of the knots stuff would be at times, but still like a little bit to where they wanted to see you do a couple things, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
But now I hear, it's kind of like how it is out here where it's very much like the masses more, where they just want to see like literally state your name, you know, your roles in the past or your favorite Halloween movie, and that's it.
Oh, wow.
You know, it's very much not even showing
They
much
just want
anymore.
to fill the spot.
Fill the spots. Yeah. That seems like a lot of what's kind of becoming with those larger events in that sense. So yeah,
okay. So, okay, you were here, you worked LA Hayride, you worked HHN a year, you did your home hunt.
The camp, the campground event.
Great Horror Camp out. What, we never talked about this, but what year did you move to Florida?
I moved to Florida. Let me think. Trying to remember. 2012 to 13. That summer.
Okay, so you've been out there 9-10 years now.
9-10 years. Yeah, almost. Yeah, about that.
Oh,
That's I moved here during it was like the summertime of right before 2013. Yeah.
So when you moved, it was because of your job, right? You got a position out there?
Actually, no, it was not. I had something set up to where I was going to, apply to like a fire departments out here.
Uh-huh.
But no, actually came out here because my mom was out here and she became ill and I take care of her.
Gotcha.
Yep. So that's what brought me out here.
Gotcha.
But also at the end of the day, now that, time has gone by a little bit, I've kind of saved some money not thinking it because I remember what I was spending in California and I've only heard it's only gotten worse. So
it's so
yeah.
bad. But I heard that it's getting pretty bad. Not bad, like in the sense of like cost of living wise, it's getting pretty bad there.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like you said, not California yet, but it's getting kind of hard, especially in the area I'm in the greater like outside Orlando area.
Okay.
And I'll tell you this: the first 5 years I lived here, I saw maybe 2 Californians my entire time, not including Keenan or you, Scott. But now, oh man, you see California license plates like everywhere.
Yeah.
Like California, New York.
Yeah, my neighbors moved there, and a couple other people that we know from here moved there. Like a lot of people have during the pandemic.
And the thing is too, people are realizing, people come from California where it costs more money. They can come out here and afford a little bit more, so they're buying up all the homes and apartments quicker than a lot of the people that lived here already because they're so used to so expensive in California.
Yeah, people are like mine. I'm going to take it.
Yeah,
I'm going to buy that. Up.
Yeah,
so it's getting crowded.
During the pandemic, I was going to buy a condo out there and turn it into an Airbnb. I wish I did. I just didn't go through with it. I was like, I'll wait. I should have. Because I heard about Disney and the whole Lake Nona thing, or no, is it Lake? Yeah. And that's where I was like, oh shit, this is going to become something. So maybe I should go. So, but it actually turned out Disney's going through their own shit right now.
Yeah, they're all going through crap. Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways.
So that's what brought me out here, though.
Cool. So you went out there and.
Yeah.
Oh no.
I mean, did you work hunt from out here the whole time until you moved out there? Work hunt.
Yeah. So when I came out here, I was going to be applying for fire departments out here, but in the meantime, I needed a quick job just to have money. Mm-hmm. And I knew hunt season was starting because I moved around like July. I'm like, hunt season's right around the corner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and my brothers had already worked for HHN Orlando. They were already doing it for years because they were out here before I was.
Gotcha.
And so I just went out to open auditions for Horror Nights here. And the audition process was pretty much exactly like I just kind of told you, where stood there and they said, like, say your name, say your favorite horror movie. Because I was a new hire at the time, so
right.
And this was before COVID, obviously, and all that. So, and there was a ton of people. Like, I mean, the people kind of like knots in a way where people just line up, for a spot.
Right.
Yeah.
And and I just went over there, waited I think 2.5 hours to get an audition time.
That's it?
It was only because I kind of got there, but I got there kind of early though, because when I came outside, the line was much longer. I was like, oh, maybe it was good I got here early because I didn't think it would be that bad,
Yeah.
Right.
And but the problem with the long part was after, because that back then they let you know right then and there if you were hired. They don't do that anymore now.
Oh.
And they were right there. They would you went in the audition, you came out, and they'd separate you in groups. Like one group of people would be the no's, the other group of people would be yeses. And then they'd do all the paperwork, all the HR kind of stuff. And that part took almost 4 hours after being hired.
Yeah.
Well, it was kind of like that for us during rehire. We'd be there for a couple hours, 3 hours usually.
Yeah.
Sometimes longer. It just depends. Because we get our paperwork, and dude, all of us would get writer's cramp because you have to sign and date. It seemed like hundreds of sheets, the same.
Hundreds of papers just going back.
Yeah. And it turns into our signatures just turn into scribbles.
Yep.
Just get the paperwork in there,
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
What it was. So you get out there and you got on HHN Orlando. So that was your first hunt in Florida, right?
First hunt in Florida, and first technically even though in California, but really beginning a large theme park hunt in terms of seeing how this grand scale compared to Hollywood. I mean, HHN Orlando is massive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, and my first house I was in that year, I was in the Walking Dead house, and I was a zombie in there. and that was like crazy because I remember it was like the height of the series was going on. People were actually watching it, and we would be in the house, like we had to get in early because we were an early access house for VIP people. So I'd get in there at like 4:00, and then we would hold over because the line queue was so long, and I would get home like not until like 4:30 a.m.
Holy shit!
Yeah, and I'd be in my little like jail cell that entire time, just like coming in and out, and it was crazy because like me, like again, like I don't like to be contained too much when I'm scaring.
Yeah.
So I'd be like finding different ways to like get out of the cell a little bit, push the envelope just enough to where you're not like getting in trouble necessarily.
Yeah.
Ride that
line. Exactly. And it was, it was a good time, but like, I remember after that first year, I was like, I got to like start getting streets. Like I really want to be in the streets, like, and experience that. And that, yeah, so that was first year. And then my second year, I was in the Purge scare zone.
Oh, cool.
That they had that there. And to this day is probably one of my favorite scare zones I've ever worked in because it was called Purge Anarchy. And it was when the second film, I think, came out. And it was truly anarchy, though. Like we were riding on the side of vans, like no straps, nothing, no carabiners. They had guys popping wheelies on motorcycles down the road.
Oh, wow.
It was truly awesome. And like we would do cast switch outs with the Purge alarm that would like signal the cast switch out.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. And
that's
it
cool.
Was, to this day, like I truly like that's probably one of the best streets I think HH in Orlando has probably ever had in their history since like 91, I think in their first year, 91.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was my first street.
HH in Orlando.
Yeah. See, Scott, you got to come for that. We got to do a little bit of that.
I know. I'm trying, dude. I'm trying. Trust me.
Yes. So that was the beginning of my haunts there.
Okay, so obviously now you moved to a street zone.
Yeah.
And did they give you a specific type of character? It's like, okay, these are your parameters that you can work in. Because I know every venue is different. So they okay, these are the things you can and can't do type of thing. And
yeah, I'd say I'll be honest with you though, that was HH. So HHN 23 was my first one. HHN 24 was my first street year.
Okay.
And that year was probably the last bit of a year where it was a lot of freedom. Like it was, you could go into the store, you could go into like the guest areas inside, and stuff like, again, like ride the line, but don't cross the line kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. There weren't zones at all. Like it was just like you had your area. Like in Universal Orlando, they have this part of the park that's supposed to look like New York City, and it's a very large scare zone. I mean, it's pretty big, and it's the biggest one in their park every year. And you had the freedom to go, and there was like alleyways and like little man cover holes you can hide in. Oh, wow. So like the characters we were, of course, as most people know from the Purge, you're just everyday people that are getting your rage out, during the 12 hours, So like it was more so like they allowed you, like you could talk, more, like you could say whatever you wanted. Like, so there was quite a bit of freedom in terms of, especially since you're just a human who's kind of like, you're murderers, you're robbers, you're whatever, you kind of create whatever you want to be. And that was the beginning too of them pulling me for the chainsaw drill team within that year too.
Okay.
So that was my first year where chainsaw became my thing, which I've now been most of the years now that I've been in Horror Nights. So
did you parlay from the Purge to the chainsaw zone, or did you have a chainsaw in the Purge zone?
So I had a chainsaw in the Purge zone because they had a saw group outside of the zone, but then they had a few of us that they wanted to be in the Purge zone with saws too. And how I got there wasn't even like I was initially supposed to be there. I was just a normal scare actor, and I had a prop. Like it was different prop every night. Like I had like a machete prop one night or something, and one night the one guy, he got hurt. He like broke his wrist with chainsaw. Yeah, he like straight broke it.
Oh wow.
And I think what happened was like he wanted to do the pull cord, but when he did it, it kind of got caught. So his hand with the handle went like this, I remember, is what happened, and it just snapped. Yeah.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, it wasn't good. And then they were looking around to replace them, and they came up to me one night and said, "Hey, have you ever used a saw before at a haunt?" I said, nope, but I use them at work all the time. So
like, hey, you want to come break your wrist?
Yeah, I want to come break your wrist, you know? And it's a lot different using the chainsaw at work than it is scaring people with a chainsaw. So
right.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So that's kind of how I end up with the chainsaw there.
Okay.
And now that's kind of what you're parlayed into. But before we move forward, talk about, like, tell us your experience from going from being in a house to moving out into a street zone. Like,
oh gosh,
how was it for you? Were you like going, holy shit, like, what am I going to do? Or like, I'm going ape shit?
Oh, absolutely. My first set, my first night in HHN 24, I was the first cast that was out there for the first set when the guests were coming in. Seeing that wave of guests coming in, just walking, you know, just like opening moment for Knots where they're all waiting behind like the line, you know, ready to come in. It was just like, I was just like literally like a dog with like 15 toys and didn't know which one to play with or scare. Just going crazy. Cause you know, you'd go after somebody, and of course everyone when they're coming in, they're all amped, you know, they're all ready to go. Like, and I'd just be like, oh, I want to go after them. And then I'd be like, oh, I want to go after them. But like, you quickly learn, like, I was spent. Like my first set, I went back to the break room and I was ready to like die. I was so tired. And I had like how many sets left in the night to go.
Yeah.
And I quickly was learning.
I just blew my entire wad on that first set.
That first set, I'm done. That first 45 minutes, and I'm like, I'm spent, you know? But it was like, it truly was. It was just like, you go from, kind of like we were talking earlier, you go from sitting in this like small little box, essentially, why they just funnel people through constantly. Mm-hmm. And sometimes they get backed up, so you're just staring at the people that you just scared 5 seconds ago. You know what I mean, looking at you. And they're like, are you going to do anything else? It's like, well, I really can't do anything else with where I'm at.
I mean, we've told this story in endless amounts of times on this podcast, where it's just, you know, that exact same thing. We went through the Michael Myers house, and we were stuck in this bedroom one, and the guy had this trigger with flashy light trigger thing that they fucking do, some stupid ass shit, and and he kept popping out. Well, they stopped the line, and we were there forever. Like, it seriously felt like we were there for like 15 minutes. And
you probably were.
And it was funny because we figured out the timing for the guy, because he kept coming out. He literally kept coming out, and he came out like for the 4th time, and he just like, he puts his hand up because he can't talk because he's Michael Myers. And so he puts his hand up like, are you fucking kidding me? And so we're
the same people.
So we were like, and we started doing the countdown, like 3, 2, 1, and he popped out. We're like, hello. I'm totally fucking with him. Yeah, and it's crazy because not in their defense, Knott's has conga lines periodically also.
Yes. Yes.
So and they do it quite often, but the difference is their monsters roam. They have general areas, but they don't pop in and out.
They're not stuck to right there.
They're not stuck in one spot. They roam around, so they go in between the so they can still get really good scares, regardless of whether or not the people are moving slow or moving at all, because they're just like, well, I'm just going to go in and out of this line, or I'm just going to creep around and wrap around this back part and then get them on the other side. You know, either way, they're going to get a scare. You know,
absolutely.
So that is the difference between the two conga lines. But like Universal is a fucking conga line the second you get in the line until you walk out of that maze. And it's irritating as shit, especially when you're in front of a spot that has the spitting water that's supposed to be blood. Or slime or whatever, and it's just constantly fucking spitting at you, and you're like, are you fucking kidding me? Are you shitting? Yeah, I was so pissed. Like, oh my god.
And that's what I wish, like, and again, like, you know, there's a lot of, like, because I know more of, obviously, HHN Orlando, because I've worked it for, 7 years compared to being only a short time there in Hollywood. And they do a bunch of great things here, more so than, like, even back there. And they try to keep it as best they can, people interested in terms of when they're in there.
Yeah.
But still, they kind of, I wish they would a little bit more allow some of those house characters to do exactly like you said, Knott's would. You know, give them a couple spots where they can kind of come in and out, you know, and jump from the one side to the other. What they do is, though, like, if you're in the same, like, say, the Halloween house, you got like 4 Michael Myers. Mm-hmm. They'll rotate them from spot to spot every set.
Yeah.
Which is nice because then at least they're not getting used to the same area.
Yeah, yeah.
you know. But I do wish they would allow a lot of characters to move around a little bit, because then again, not only for them but for the guests too, it'd be much better.
Yeah, they're so fixated on keeping that the keeping true to the movies and to the IP that they're doing, that they don't give the artist freedom. Like, exactly. I remember back in horror in the HHN days when like they were having like Rob Zombie designing mazes and doing like back in the early days, and not only were the mazes like up to par when it comes to design, but they had freedom, and the event was phenomenal. It was so freaking good.
Absolutely.
And they left, they canceled it, and then they came back, and then once they came back, it's just like they were very, you know, they kept the nice look and the professionalism of the set designs, but I don't know what, they just kind of pigeonholed everybody, and they kind of handcuffed everybody. All right, well, you're gonna do this, and you're gonna do it 1,000 times in one night, you know, and it's like you're just
for 8 hours.
You're really not. What's the point of hiring these people if you're just gonna like pigeonhole them? You know, like, it's not an acting gig theoretically. It's, you know, you're putting something. You're when you hire people to be a monster, you're letting these people bring out their creativity as a monster, because that's what it does. When you're in a costume, there's something that comes out of you that doesn't happen on a normal basis. You get your confidence level just boosts, and your creativity level boosts, and when you just let that roam, it's a beautiful thing. Sometimes.
It really is.
Yeah.
Especially everybody doing their own thing. You know what I mean? Everyone shows it differently, which is why it's awesome to see different characters form, different scare styles, and all that.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. It's just like, it can happen too when you put one person from one zone into another. They can flourish in another zone. Like Scott's witnessed that several times being a captain. You know, he would see people in one zone and go, "Oh my God, they're awesome over there." And you put them over into Ghost Town and like, "What the fuck you doing? Like, you weren't who you were back then." You know, it's like same thing with a maze. You bring somebody that's kicking ass in a maze, you bring them out in the streets, and they don't know what to do. They're like a lost puppy.
Yes.
So you know, it's
they get their feet wet.
Yeah. So it's like, but you don't know what they can do until you like put the costume on and say, "Go do your thing." Just, you know, here's your boundaries, but go and be your character. You're Michael Myers. Act like Michael Myers. Go fuck up the house.
Yep,
you know what I'm saying? It's like, you don't want 5 Michael Myers in one room, right? Stay in that room and don't go past this hallway, but utilize that whole room as opposed to
that's your space.
Yeah, because they have this big ass room and this guy popping out of the freaking closet, stepping out twice, going.
Yep. Yes, exactly. Like, exactly.
Literally is that with a flashing light and giving people fucking seizures. It's like, it makes no sense to me.
What's that face, Jeremy? What's that face, Jeremy?
And, you know, the Michael Myers face changes. The mask is always different. So the smile is
so you have one that's like this. Then you have one like this.
Yep. Then you got the burnt up one where his face is like this. When
Yeah, from the
and then you have one that has like the 2 fingers.
Yeah, they're all different. They all like look different.
Exactly.
I don't know how, but they do.
But they're all the same original mask, the same mold. It's all William Shatner without paint.
Yeah, William Shatner. Yes,
yeah.
It's William Shatner.
Well, it cracks me up because like people, you get a lot of the enthusiastic, you know, haunters, I guess you would say, or haunt fans. And they're like, you know, when they announce like this year it's gonna be Halloween Kills, and it's like, oh my God, I'm so excited. It's like, well, they just had Halloween 2 last year. It's the same fucking thing.
I'm getting a kick out of Jeremy's expression. Oh my God, I'm so excited.
I mean, that is kind of how some of those fans, it's just, you know.
I love the fans. I mean, I'm not mocking them, but it's kind of it's comical because they get excited when specifically when it comes to Halloween. It's like, you know, oh my God, they did Halloween 2 last year, but this year they're doing Halloween Kills. Next year will be Halloween Ends.
And we're going to have 2 more extras.
He's going to be more bloody and dirty.
I know this is it's off tangent, but he was mentioning the fans, right?
Yeah.
The fans are what keep us doing what we do and what keeps these events open. But like, and Jeremy can speak to this too, because we were at the same event when we were both like, holy shit, this is crazy. We did an event it was the old Haunt X. I mean, Haunt X now is different, but we went and we did a panel to help promote Season of Screams.
Okay.
And this was in the Santa Maria Hotel in Santa Maria, which was a legitimately haunted hotel too.
I love that hotel.
They put
So
this
cool.
panel together, and they're like, "Oh, it's going to be like 30 minutes, and the room's probably only going to be half full."
Yeah.
No, it didn't work that way. Like
Yeah.
an hour prior to the doors opening, the line to get in to that panel was out, a line all the way out the hotel.
Oh wow.
And then they had to, once we got in there and sat down, they had to deny people coming in because they were standing room only. They
Yeah.
packed the house, right?
Sheesh. Yeah.
And then we went over, I think we went 45 minutes over our allotted time because people kept wanting more.
Yeah,
right?
just coming to see more.
Yeah. So, and this is where we're like, Jeremy, like, I remember specifically Jeremy's looking at me at the end of the table because he was standing on the outside. I'm sitting there and he's going, because after the panel, they said, "Oh, we're going to be signing autographs at the haunted media table," right? And I was sitting there and dude, we were there for 3 hours signing autographs.
Yeah.
And dude, it got so bad we were signing cocktail napkins. And I'm not even shitting.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And we were like, dude, this is crazy. Like we kind of felt like, okay, now we know what it's like to be a real celebrity, like an actor. You know,
This is pre MySpace.
Oh, okay.
So like
there was
pre-social
yeah.
anything. So like it was literally it was Ted's website.
Yeah, Ultimate Haunt.
Ultimate Haunt is where the information got put out there for people to come and check it out. And Santa Maria is like an hour away from LA, so
Yeah.
it wasn't too far for people. And we were
To get there.
blown away.
Dude, it
That's
was
crazy.
insane. It was insane. Like, I mean, the line for us for our autographs, because they weren't just getting one, they were getting everybody on the panel that was sitting there. So it was just like a chain, it's just like a sign next, sign. And we're like, "Oh yeah, can you sign this?" We're like, "This is a cocktail napkin. We don't care. We just want your autograph." And I was like,
yeah. Like we
That's
knew
awesome.
we knew
Weird.
they were fans because they would come to Haunt, and we used to call them stalkers, but at the time, they were the legitimate fans, and they would come and and watch us or bring little gifts. Like one time, this kid brought a little sculpture of he gave me one of my Lucky character.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, he was he was a little bit off, but he loved Haunt. And I don't know he gave Ted one, I think, but he gave her several monsters a little sculpture. And it was like, holy crap.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it was super cool.
Some of the fans truly, like, even today, like, you see them, like, this is what they wait for. They literally wait for these events. And this is what, honestly, it's like, some of them, like you were saying, like that kid it's probably what gets him through his entire year, to be honest with you.
Do the Purge, you got Chainsaw, you finished out the year with that. So the next year, was that your idea to begin with? Like, I'm going to go into the Chainsaw Brigade, and
I thought I was going to do Chainsaw again, but I ended up actually getting pulled to be a beast character. It was the zone was called Scary Tales Steampunk, and it was HHN 25. So it was technically an anniversary year.
Okay.
So which was very cool. Their anniversary years are very, very exciting normally, more than normal. And I was the Beast from Beauty and the Beast, but obviously a completely different version of it.
Right.
And that's the longest ever I've had to sit in a makeup chair for a haunt in my life. It was about an hour and 30 minutes, so hour and a half-ish probably. I had to sit in that chair to get the prosthetic and the teeth and everything.
Yeah.
So did you fall asleep while they were doing that?
I fall asleep all the time. Absolutely. Every time.
It's the best. It's so soothing.
It really is. Now getting it off, of course, was the horrible part because you scraping it,
Yeah.
But that year was fun too because I was able to. It was the first time I had to be a character that was a creature technically, so I wasn't a human, Yeah. So trying to find movements that like mimicked a beastly character, but also at the same time still being able to scare and move quickly, and stuff like that. So yeah, it was interesting because I thought I'd be Chainsaw that year for sure. But no, they pulled me to that. And, that was it it was a lot of fun because it was something I wasn't exactly prepared for, to be that kind of a scare actor in that setting. But still, one of my most fond memories. Some of them have been from that zone.
Nice.
That year. But after that, yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish your statement first, and I'll backtrack a little bit.
Yeah, no, you're good. But after that, it would kind of started going down more of the chainsaw track since then.
Yeah. Okay, so when they told you, first of all, did you audition for that Beast character, or they say, "Hey, we need you for this character"?
They pulled me from where I was. I was actually technically I was in they change the name every year. It's like reserve, fire crew, whatever. It's like they put you somewhere different every night, essentially.
Yeah.
But they pulled me specifically like about like 2 weeks in, because the guy that was in that role, he quit or something.
Mm-hmm.
And they just pulled me aside one night and said, "Hey, do you want a full-time role that you'll be in this street as this character?" And I was like, "Absolutely, I'm down." Like, because I want to be in the street. And I like I'd seen the character, and I thought it would be something that would be different and interesting to try. And so I just kind of agreed to it.
Nice.
So backtracking a little bit, you mentioned that you kind of had to find ways to embody the character emotion, like movement wise.
Yeah.
Where did you find inspiration from that? Is it just something you just kind of pulled out of your head? I'm going to try this and see if it works, or did you do some research?
A little bit of both. A little bit of watching, and again, it's always coming back to Knott's. A little bit of watching YouTube videos of Not Scary Farm characters, especially in Ghost Town. There's like, you got like the chicken guy, you got, all the different types of different animal types. Yeah. Then I just tried random things to see if I'd get a good reaction out of it or not, and how it worked. And then also, believe it or not, like watching my two brothers, because they have been doing Horror Nights in Orlando for like 13 plus years. And they had done so many different roles. And the thing I noticed with my brothers with Horror Nights and how they scared always, and when I was younger, when we'd all scare at my house, was they were very quick with their motions. Mm-hmm. Like whatever they did was very fast. And even though it didn't seem like they would do a motion, like say they want to put their hand out at somebody, you think like, well, how crowded these events get, you just throw your hand out, you can easily punch somebody, and possibly, have a problem happen. But they would do this thing where their arm would kind of already be out, but the motion was coming in. Like they always did this thing where the arm would be like, they pull the arm in instead of going out at people. Yeah. But that quick motion they would do with their bodies would scare the living hell out of people just because they were fast, And
they avoided contact.
And they avoided contact. So I started adapting more of their style a lot, my brother's style, but trying to make it my own, and it kind of like add like, okay, well, we're going to try this night. You know what I mean? So kind of a mix of everything.
See, I wanted to bring that up because we may have viewers that there's always a talent that's going to come out through the work, through the years that are lost, and they don't know how to find inspiration and where to draw things from to add to their character. So that was a perfect example in how you did it. I mean, you did a little bit of research through Knott's, but a lot of it was hands-on, trial and error, and what you could learn from your siblings. Yep. You know what I mean?
Yep. And also those scare actors that were older than me, the veterans, you know what I mean? Seeing what works for them. They've been doing it forever. What did they do?
Yeah. Well, also utilize what fears you have.
Yep.
Absolutely. You can utilize that into a character too.
Project it onto the guests.
And you project it onto. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
The worst is when you're learning though, and you try something and you really think it's going to be good, and you get absolutely no reaction, and you're like, God, I thought that was a good one.
Yeah. That's funny. You're just like, next.
All right. That way.
That's when your castmates go whiff.
Yep.
When you don't get a scare.
The worst is when the guests call you out. Oh, nice try.
Yeah, the guest is probably worse.
Hey, I tried, right?
I tried. Yeah.
Effort counts. The effort counts.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so you had a big role change from the Purge, and then you were a lion.
Yeah, Beast, lion, whatever. Yeah,
Beast. And then, is this then when you changed over into Chainsaw?
mostly chainsaw. Was for the rest of the years. There was one role one year I kind of was like a ghost zombie thing, which was similar. But then I did Saw. They pulled me for Saw multiple nights anyway. But I was like, for 2 years I was a clown chainsaw. Then I was just a crazy guy essentially with a chainsaw and a mechanic outfit, which ended up being a Michael Myers jumpsuit that they just threw dirt on. So, and then I was just different characters with chainsaws. And as we know, Horror Nights loves their chainsaws. I mean, that is what they do.
That is their thing.
That is their thing. Yeah. And the thing about the chainsaw is, in all these years that I've done it now, being one, is that everyone does the same thing with the chainsaw. They always, they turn it on, and some of them, with all due respect, they don't have the stamina or even the upper body strength to do it all night long. Yeah. So they'll be starting it up like this, which isn't very scary when you're starting it up on the ground, trying to, you want it to be quick. Yeah. So there was one of the years where I was with a couple of my buddies who I still work there with, where we started doing these chainsaw scares that were very different than anything Universal had seen before in terms of what we were doing, where we were very quick with it, with how we would turn it on, but we call it the Spartan jump, like in the 300 movie, when he would jump up in the air and he'd throw we would jump like that, and we would turn our saw on in the air while we were up in the air, our feet were off the ground.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And there's footage on YouTube of this stuff that people took and stuff, but it changed it completely. People actually were like, oh wow, people would say wow, they stepped their game up a little bit, these chainsaw guys aren't just revving and coming out. Now, Grant, the original chainsaw guys were awesome. They did a great job. We just kind of wanted to make something different of it that kind of got people not expecting it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has to evolve.
It has to evolve, exactly. So we started doing stuff like that, and it's funny now seeing people do Chainsaw Horror Nights now that started doing things that we'd done 5 years ago, and seeing it kind of evolve now, which has been pretty awesome. So even though I did Chainsaw, I've done it every year since now. It's cool to see change it up a little bit, do something different than just oh, I'm going to scare you right in front of you. No, you're sitting on a bench. I'm going to turn the saw on. I'm going to shove it underneath the bench where your legs are. Mm-hmm. So you see the bar come out between your legs. You know what I mean? Right. Like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So
I don't know the mechanics of a chainsaw, but I'm shocked that nobody in the industry has come up with a quick turn on switch or something, somewhere. I know that there is there now.
Yeah, and here's the thing: it's not even a real chainsaw; it's a prop chainsaw.
Uh-huh. Yeah, most actual. Yeah.
I saw this at Transworld.
Oh, cool. Transworld, they have it.
Yeah, they were 2 booths away, and this guy had first he had a taser, a fake taser, sounded just like a real one, and a chainsaw too that you hit. It's a button. And it's got a speaker on it. It sounds just like a chainsaw. It looks like a chainsaw.
And that's,
wow.
You can't, it doesn't, I mean, it's a different feeling when you got a real chainsaw in your hand.
Well, that's what I mean. I'm talking about a real chainsaw. I know you have to pull. I mean, it's just like a lawnmower,
like a quick start, like in a car.
Yeah. Somehow.
Well, the problem was we're pulling the pull cord so fast, so quick. We go through pull cords. I remember one of the years we were going through 3 a night.
Damn.
Jeez.
Yeah. I mean, we were ripping the hell out of them.
Did
they tell you guys have to, calm down?
It depends. There was a couple coordinators that would be like, all right, guys, we don't have enough pull cords to keep fixing these. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Can you guys relax a little bit?
Yeah.
How about putting a cable in there instead of a rope?
Oh, yeah. The thing was like the guy that broke his wrist, if you did it wrong and it got caught, you kind of would your body would kind of get thrown a little bit with your arm this.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah. So you still have to be careful, but yeah, we'd go through some pull cords for sure.
Was it forbidden? Is it a rule that you guys couldn't spark them on the ground?
Yes. Okay. That's always been at least at HHN. The rules also have gotten even more strict, to be honest with you. I wish currently I could tell the story that I'm referring to because I am involved in it. I did not do anything wrong in the end. It's just there is currently still a court case about this going on that I am involved in because I was there for it.
Yeah.
That I'm not allowed to speak on, but it has to do with stuff like that where, you can't always predict what the guest is going to do.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Yeah. So they do kind of go away from that. But when they do have sparks, I know they've had stuff in the past where they'll do like a shovel or something, stuff like that.
Yeah, no, there's a few guys in the Midwest that I follow on Instagram, and one of them I want to get on here because he's fucking amazing. But he uses a chainsaw, and he just the way he uses it on the ground is just like, holy shit. I would run from it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so it's
That'd be awesome to see that, by the way. Yeah, I want to see footage of stuff like that. That'd be cool. Something
I'll send
different.
you his profile. I'll send you his profile because he's dope.
Please.
Yeah. So you do HHN. You're a chainsaw guy. So moving on from HHN, what is the next event you push on? Is this where your haunt career goes down the hill because you met Scott, or what?
Yeah, that was it. That was all of it.
I was waiting to get to that part. It's like, come on, let's get to the exciting downhill part.
Yeah, he's got to throw a jab in there. But before we get there, I was going to ask him how the transition was from beast to chainsaw.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah, it was.
Let's rewind.
It wasn't that bad because it was like I had already done chainsaw that year before the beast, so I kind of started picking up with what I had left off doing. It was just more so getting used to the muscle memory part of it, kind of just like with sliding. It was like, okay, I've got to do this now. You know what I mean? Like I got to remember that like these muscles I need to work on a little bit more. I need to be more careful with how I'm rehabbing this area. That was more so the transitional part that I needed to get used to again. Because like talk about like, thinking you got carpal tunnel and stuff. It was like, gosh, you gotta wrap your wrist.
So was your pre-conditioning workout just with the bands?
Yeah, that's what? That's part of actually the audition that they've done now. The band. They make you do the bands for like 60 seconds.
You're like,
gotta work on those flies.
Yeah, people are looking at you in the gym because all you're doing is this in the gym the whole
like
time.
that with the band. They're like, what the fuck is this guy doing?
Yeah. So that'd be about it though. Yeah. That was the biggest change.
Correct me if I'm wrong though. So one of your current coworkers worked with you in Chainsaw Brigade, right? Wasn't Casey in the Chainsaw Brigade for a little bit, for a year?
Casey was, yes, she was. She was in 2019 with me. Yep.
I was gonna say because I remember seeing her costume, or seeing a picture of her in costume in the Chainsaw. That's when you guys were all commandos in black.
In black, and she would ask me because she saw I was sliding for Dark Horizon that year, and she saw all my videos, and she started asking me about it, which is why when we're getting ahead a little bit, when Howl Scream came up, she was one of the first people in my mind to reach out to.
Right. So now that we got that covered, Jeremy.
Oh, sorry, messed up your last question. Oh my god.
So where were we now? Like, okay, I forgot what did Jeremy say.
Moving on from HHN, I think.
No, it doesn't matter what I said, dude. Come on.
Well, we can't forget about like the other haunts you did too. I know you got HHN, and I know you had other ones peppered in there too. So we want to cover all of it, dude. But
after
let's go ahead and talk
HHN,
about what you did next.
Yeah, what was the next event you worked on after HHN?
It was 2019. I was doing HHN. I was auditioning, and then in the summertime, and then I had a friend in like around town that's in entertainment and hears about all this stuff. Goes, hey, there's a haunt coming to Orlando. Don't know where it's going to be, but they are the same group that does the Dark Harbor and Queen Mary in California. And I know you're from California, and I know you might be interested in wanting to do this. And I was like, well, I'm doing Horror Nights, And then he told me, he goes, I heard they might be doing sliding. And the minute he said sliding, it literally was like this. I was kind of like, I went, what?
Yeah.
And he's like, and I had practiced doing sliding on my own for a while prior to that, just to like in myself know a little bit about it in terms of wanting to just do it and practice. And I'm like, well, you know what I mean? I'm like, I have gear, you know what I mean? I was like, I haven't used it in a while, but I was like, we'll see, maybe they're doing it, like I'll bring it out, And
wait, so you never slid it HHN out there?
Um, I never officially slid an HHN out there.
My bad.
It was one of those things where you have knee pads on and your prop is broken. So yeah,
Gotcha.
yep. And people loved it. And my brother did the same thing. Like it was always unofficially, and people still talk about it to this day. They're like, HHN used to have sliders. There were a couple nights that they didn't officially have sliders. It was just my brothers and I just using what we had to get through.
Real quick, let me ask you, because so Hollywood's HHN, like I said, they had their event, then they stopped it, and then they went back. Did Orlando stop or start and stop, or did they continue throughout that whole time, or did they? I don't even know when they started. You said they're 25 years, so they're what 30 years now.
They're 30 years, yeah. 30
okay, so
years,
they didn't have a pause moment like Hollywood did they?
No, yeah, no, yeah. They've been going. Yeah, they've been going every year.
Because Hollywood used to have sliders.
But it was like, I remember they used to have sliders, and then they had, if I remember, there was a time where they had the sliders that were holding chainsaws, I remember.
Yeah. That's why it was so awesome. They had sliders.
Yeah. That was scary because they were not in control.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Their sliders weren't good. They were the stunt guys.
Yeah, let's be right.
They only let the stunt guys do it. And we heard like they were getting paid like $30 an hour. Like, what the fuck? Why are we not working here? But we found out Kyle.
Bumpus.
I was going to tell Scott. Kyle from the Howl Scream team. Yeah, he was a HHN Hollywood slider for their last year before they got cut.
Nice.
And he told us the same thing. He was saying it was a complete shit show.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, their sliders were not good. But there were multiple reasons why they stopped. I don't know if it had to do with legal issues, but they had a Chucky show where he was just ripping on everybody, and I'm talking like roasting fucking people with like curse words and everything. He calling chicks fat, like stuff that just doesn't fly anymore. So those were the good old days of HHN.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just curious if Orlando had a pause moment, but
they've been every year if I recall. Yeah.
Okay.
It's been pretty long lasting.
So they never ever had sliders in Orlando?
Yep, never officially have had sliders in Orlando. That is something that I am also trying to work on.
Cool.
Right as we speak.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah, got your finger on the pulse on that.
Yes. But yeah, so I heard about Dark Horizon. I had seen sliders in Orlando one year at Howl Scream in Tampa. Okay. They did have them, but it's kind of like Hollywood. From hearing what happened, and then like I went there actually to audition and was a part of it briefly, but it was so run poorly and unsafe, like to the point where I was like, this ain't it. And I was driving far too, and it wasn't worth it.
Yeah.
So I just decided to stick with HHN, and then I heard about Dark Horizon, and then I heard from my buddy who got hired at Dark Horizon. He was just doing stilt walking. He was like, hey, they are doing sliders, and I think they're meeting up on this day. And then I got in contact with Yola and Scott. And what was her? She was pretty much one of the head managers, wasn't she, that year?
She was the talent director.
Talent director, right? Yeah. And I remember I messaged her because I got her contact info, and she told me about the first day to come and meet you guys. And that's when I came and got him.
He was like a kid in the candy store, dude. The first one walking in the door, big old grin on himself. Hey, yeah, I'm here to do this. Here to audition for the sliders.
Yep. And I think it was it was me, and then Keenan showed up second.
Yeah.
And Keenan was wearing a Not Scary Farm like anniversary shirt, I remember.
That must be the Knots guy.
And of course, I hear you were the star of the whole day and kicked ass and.
Oh, it was very Dark Horizon at that beginning, especially after those first few times, like days, even just doing some training with Scott it was a little taste of home, which was nice. It was cool to do stuff that reminded me of being back home in California.
Yeah. No, I remember when Scott went out there, he came back and he was telling me, he's like, dude, there's some good fucking sliders out there. I was like,
it was
the learning curve is fast out there.
Yeah. He's like, there's so many natural talent out there, which is cool. Like Aiden, Aiden,
very much.
We interviewed Aiden.
Yeah,
Aiden,
and he was saying that she's one of them, and then you, obviously, you were one of them.
And then there
Yep.
was Ashley, another natural talent.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know,
Everybody, Orlando is a lot of Orlando's very much a melting pot, truly by name. I mean, it really is. Like, you got people from everywhere, and they come to Orlando. Usually, they're not like me, where like my job coming here wasn't related to entertainment, but it's entertainment, kind of tourist capital of the world. So you get a lot of different people that can just still walk, bounce things. They can do fire breathers, silks, like just everything happens here. So I think that when truly, even though Tampa technically had it at Howl, Dark Horizon, I know, is really when the sliding happened, like the word kind of got out more about it. Because I'm always asked about it at HHN. Every time I'm at HHN, I've had stage managers, coordinators, everybody, even Mike Aiello, the head creator for Horror Nights for years. He's come to both of these events that like Howl and the Dark Horizon, and he watches the sliders every time I've seen them. And I've talked to him a couple times, and he loves it.
Yeah.
Now, again, I don't know the logistics of Horror Nights right now, why they haven't had it necessarily yet, but it definitely has caught the attention of the bigger parties in Orlando.
It's pure safety thing. That's all it is. All they see is just lawsuits waiting to happen, and they have to rely.
That's where I come in.
Yeah, they have to rely on, having people come in and trusting these people to make sure that they're safe, and with the amount of crowds, Knott's lucked out. Knott's, it all originated there, and it originated during a time where Knott's was like, here's your themes, go have fun, just don't kill anybody, just don't hurt anybody, and it wasn't like they will, they didn't have any leashes on any of us. And they just let the freedom go and let the creativity go, and they let all the energy go, and that's the only reason why the sliders are the way they are right now. Why Knott's is so comfortable, with it. Don't get me wrong; they do have some incidences periodically, but
of course,
that's if they didn't have that freedom, and that's the reason why you need to give these people freedom, because you don't know what your event is capable of until you do that. Now, horror, Universal has huge backing, financial backing.
Yes.
And they have huge IPs that they, license out or have their own IPs. They're going to get the people in no matter what.
Yeah.
That's their mentality. They're like, we can just throw out a number and people are going to pay it to come to see and get scared by Michael Myers and Chucky and all these people because they love this content. That's the only thing they have going for them. So, but when you have an event like Knott's or Hollow Scream, or SeaWorld, they don't have those IPs, so they have to rely on the creativity of the monsters and the event coordinators to make sure that the event's good. And the
100%.
only way that you can make your event good is if you just let those monsters have that freedom. You kind of pull them by the chain a little bit here and there and go, hey, no, do it this way.
Steer them around a little bit.
Yeah, and that's what Scott's good at. Scott's like, hey, why don't you try doing it this way? Don't do it this way. You're going to hurt someone. Try doing it this way. Don't do it this way. You're going to hurt yourself. Try doing it this way.
Exactly.
For years, and because we have people like Scott and other people at Knott's Berry Farm, they were able to get solid, talented people to make sliding what it is today.
Oh, 100%.
So it's like that's what these big events are having issues with. It's this freedom, freedom of creativity for their monsters. I can't imagine what Horror Nights would be if they were just like, hey, you're this, just fucking go do your thing, dude. Just go do your thing. Yeah, I can't imagine what it would be like. So
no, 100%. I always wish that maybe someday some certain things can be a little bit like that. But like you said, big companies, they have IPs. They know what they're going to get. They know the crowds they're going to create.
I get the legal thing. I get the safety thing for sure.
Yeah.
But that's the reason why you have professionals, that have been doing it for many, many years, like Scott, doing that, and guiding these people to make sure it is safe. They're safe.
Done correctly.
Yeah. And you're on that path too. I mean, you're getting trained by him, so you know what to do. So they won't have to fly his ugly ass out there anymore. They just use you.
Absolutely, yeah, definitely.
So that first year at Dark Horizon, now you got a taste of quote unquote home.
Yeah.
Did it change your outlook on haunted events in Florida from there, like from what it was before you got a little bit of taste of that, or?
Yeah. I think it was nice to see, even though it was a small event, and this is before knowing that SeaWorld was going to do what they were going to do in the future years.
Yeah.
It was nice to see an event come into Orlando that was going to push the envelope a little bit on scaring and on what a haunt in Orlando can be. And it's not just a walk through this house with 100 people back to back. You know what I mean? More so, a little more interactive, a little bit more, wow, I've never seen that before. You know what I mean? Like, those type of things. Because everybody's been so used to one thing for a while. And it gave me hope that there would be other options and other things that can help then also with Horror Nights, which I loved. It's my first one here, my first, haunt love, to also maybe then want to push the envelope a little bit more from what they've done in years past as well.
Right. And that's what you said you've been trying to work on with them, right?
A little bit, yeah. Trying to work on it. And, I have a lot of good relationships with management at HHN Orlando. And they're fully aware of, what I do at these other events and everything else. And it's just like you were saying, Jeremy, it's a matter of like, it's all about like the safety thing, who's running it, who they're hiring, because they do hire third party quite often to help their stilts, I believe, and some other things. So, it's a work in progress, but I'll be honest with you, early on, I would never have thought, Scott, we'd all be doing what we did last year at Howl Scream.
Yeah.
I would never have thought that could have been possible, but here we are,
It seems to be the thing that's kind of a building block.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just kind of getting a little bit more and more each time.
Yeah. Right. And the thing that's kind of cool too is it's cool, and at the same time it's kind of tough because there isn't a lot of growth yet for that, but
yeah,
there's a lot of the same people that work those two events. I know we haven't touched on Hallow Scream yet, we'll get there, but a part of the team from Dark Horizon came over to work Hallow Scream too.
Yep, exactly.
So so you get through Dark Horizon, and talk about your year that year, because I know you didn't just work one event, you worked multiple haunt events, and you were working your day job.
Yeah, I was that was the first year I did multiple, where I was doing HHN, I was doing Dark Horizon, and then I was working as my normal job as a firefighter. And I would, whether I was at Dark Horizon or HHN, get out around 2 a.m., typical time out of a haunt. And I wouldn't even go home because I live about an hour away from all these areas where these haunts are. But my fire station is about 15 minutes away from these haunts. So I would just go to my fire station and fall asleep, and then wake up for shift that morning and already be at my station, because I was exhausted. I was so tired. And I'm getting to the point now where I'm like, I need to start wheeling that back a little bit with how much I do these like multiple haunts. Yeah. And I did, though, after going through that event, like those two haunts, like it was a good balance in terms of like both management teams were awesome, Dark Horizon and HHN that year, to where they were just both like, hey, whatever nights you can do here, come here, and the other nights. And I was very fair and very even with both of them. And because I loved them both, and I loved, like, especially like Dark Horizon, talking. I loved being able to talk with Yola and everybody about like back home, and like, shooting the shit about California, and just, it was cool to be at a haunt in Florida, but with people that are from my hometown, so that kind of helped me get through those long nights of working multiple events and everything for that.
Nice.
Yeah, I bet. I just don't understand how you did it.
Well, that was quite an eye opener in terms of like, I was just like, pushing my sleep deprivation to how far I could.
Yeah, and then he comes into year 2, which is now where we're at here.
I mean, it really isn't much different than all the nights we worked second, our normal job, Scott. And he's
well,
it's not like he's going.
He does 12-hour shifts though.
Yeah, that's the difference. Yeah. But
over 24s.
24s. Yeah.
So it's like,
it was,
shit.
Yeah, it was crazy. And then the real crazy part was after all that was when with COVID hitting and all these haunts just stopping too. That was a thing, going from having all these options of haunts, and you kind of like you take it for granted a little bit, during that season, like having all those and how much they are a part of your life and you enjoy them, know.
Well, and then the ones that didn't come back after COVID.
Yep. And I still worked. The crazy part was I did not plan to work a haunt because I didn't think there were any going on during that heart of COVID. But out here, they have another haunt called Petrified Forest they contacted me during COVID because they were because as we all know, Florida opened up earlier than the entire country. And
that's why everybody moved there.
Their haunt is all these trails that are outside. So their city was cool with it because it was an outside event, as long as everyone wore masks.
Right.
And I was like, I was talking to Scott. I remember I was like, I'm not doing any haunts. It's good if we take a year off. Remember, like let our bodies like recoup. And they hit me up because they wanted a slider, and I was like the only one that they knew of to contact because people that were there were from Horror Nights too. And they contacted me and said, hey, would you like to work just 2 weeks? Our event's only going to be 2 weeks this year, and you can come and slide for us and that. So I technically did work a haunt for 2 weeks during COVID at the height of it, which was interesting because everyone else that I knew wasn't doing it.
Right.
But to work it for 2 weeks, it was definitely a newfound appreciation for that kind of time of year and how much I really enjoyed doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a huge stress reliever for you, especially with the high stress job that you're in, your day job.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. It's a stress reliever. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can imagine.
I mean, that's insane,
Yeah. It's definitely a way of doing it.
Yeah. So, okay. Talk a little bit about, I know we covered Dark Horizon, but talk a little bit about Hollow Scream. I mean, as opposed to that being all the other events you've worked there, it was their inaugural year. Like Dark Horizon was the inaugural year. So you had 2 back-to-back that were inaugural seasons for you. So talk a little bit about your experiences with Hollow Scream and, whatnot, how things went down there.
Yeah, Howl Scream was funny because I remember visiting California and grabbing lunch with you in downtown Huntington Beach. And we both were told by separate people that there was an event coming to a theme park in Orlando for haunts, I remember.
Yes.
And I remember you asking me, where do you think it is? And I was like, well, it's not Horror Nights. We know that.
Yeah.
It's not Disney. We know it's definitely not Disney. And then we're like, and Legoland makes no sense. So, so we narrowed it down to SeaWorld.
Yeah.
And it was funny because once we both found out that it was at SeaWorld, immediately I was like telling Scott, I was like, you think they'll have sliders? And that was very much the first thing on my mind because I was like, I'm only going to do it if they have sliders. Because I'm committed to HHN.
Yeah.
And, if I'm not going to, I'm definitely going to love that fact that there's an event there. I'm going to go support it and everything. But if they don't have sliders, then I'm probably not going to do it.
You might as well just work HHN.
Yeah, exactly. It's because the pay rate for scare actors in terms of just the normal scare acting is the same for both events anyway. So I was kind of like, there's no point of doing one that I'm already invested in one. So I might as well stay with that one.
Yeah.
And once I found out that they were having sliders, I remember, with you, Scott, talking about it, okay, what's step 1? What's step 2? Where are we going from here? And then you got contacted for your company and all that. And the first thing I could think of, though, was okay, who can we get back from the old team at Dark Horizon to want to do it again? Because that was a big part, too, because I remember telling you, finding talent here isn't hard, but finding talent that wants to and could do sliding was a little challenging because I remember it was because I remember putting out the word a little bit to the haunt community that I'm a part of, hey, who's interested in doing this? And I got a ton of people that were interested, but a lot of it too was once they saw the commitment part, they were kind of oh wow, I don't know if I can do that. And then some of them came out, some of them were I don't know if my body can handle that, you know what I mean? But I remember too specifically, who was our contact, Scott? Do you remember what was her name that was head SeaWorld talent?
Oh, well, Taylor was our contact.
Well, Taylor, yeah, it was Taylor, but remember the blonde lady,
Oh, Cindy.
Cindy. I
Yeah.
remember Cindy saying to us that she really wanted more girls because we knew we had a lot of guys, possibly. Remember?
Yeah.
So so trying to find out. I was like, well, I really hope Aiden wants to do this again because I know Aiden's a strong slider, a strong scare actor, and I'd love to have her, back. And then trying to find some more girls was not initially easy, but luckily we found, a good amount of them and they were all awesome, and everyone on the team was, but it was great. And then
we
the
got people
training,
like Ben that just falls in our lap that.
Oh yeah. Well, Ben's
Ben, this kid did not know what sliding was. He came out the first day and I remember him hitting the ground the first few times. And I look at Jordan, I go, is this kid shitting me right now?
Yeah.
Because he was that good.
Wow.
He just
naturally. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. He was, he's naturally just a talented guy for sure. Ben, you could tell they weren't lying when they said that he could pick up anything quickly because he definitely was what as advertised in terms of that.
That's good.
But even your training that you put us through again was from the first time at Dark Horizon to what it was now at Howl even was tremendous. It was awesome.
Yeah.
In terms of preparation, in terms of just getting these new people to really be ready for what they were going to do. You could not have prepared them any better than you did with the time you were given, which was longer than Dark Horizon, but
yeah, not by much, but I had a few extra days, but
yeah, it was good. But that team was strong. It was good. I mean, everybody did very well and caught on very well. And I'll be honest with you, and this is a bold statement to say coming from all of us who have worked haunts, the guest issues that we had at Howl was maybe less than 10%, 5% of the entire event.
Wow.
There was no real issues at all. And I think that is a credit to you, Scott, for preparing everybody and also just everybody buying into what you taught them and embodying what their character is, what their skill level is, what their limits are, and just knowing what they need to do. Because a lot of them, you knew, that a lot of them came from HHN and they were scare actors. So they had an idea of how to deal with crowds. Yeah. But to have to throw this new aspect in it of throwing your body on the ground and going, fast towards people.
Literally throwing your body on the ground.
Literally throwing your body on the ground. And knowing that this was going to be something that the community in Orlando was going to be very interested and amazed to watch. Yeah. They couldn't have handled it better. Everybody did a great job. It was truly an event that exceeded my expectations than I thought it would.
Nice.
That's awesome. Yeah. It was a good first year.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I just stoked every time I go out there. I end up getting a shirt.
Oh yeah, yeah. You got a shirt and a patch. I see the shirt. I see
and a patch both times. Right there. Oh yeah, right here.
Yep.
Here we go. Right here.
Yep. 1, 2, 3. Yep, I see them.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So okay, that was last year. Now we've come basically full circle up to speed. Now let's talk about what you think your future is going to be in the haunt industry. If you have an idea at this point.
Yeah, I've always said it was funny. If I wasn't doing the career I had, I would love to be in management and casting for one of these events. I truly would. Maybe in the future, if they allow not someone that's there the 100% of the time to do it, maybe I might get into it. But this year I've already auditioned. I've sent in my audition for Horror Nights like normal. They're still doing virtual auditions here. Where you
I think. Oh, no,
you film it or whatever, and then you send it in and stuff and all that. And they haven't. I haven't heard the yes back with that yet because they tend to do. Horror Nights does a lot of all their yeses that go out first are houses, then streets, and then fire crew who kind of bounce around. So that'll probably be coming soon. And then Howl Scream is coming back for a second year, which is good to hear because. We can never have too much, I think, competition in terms of haunts. I think it only makes both events better. HHN and Howl.
Raise the bar, yeah.
Yeah.
Raise the bar.
Absolutely, I think it's needed, and I'm glad that they're coming back. And hopefully, from what I hear, it's going to be bigger than it was last year in terms of size.
Yeah.
And I know that our area that we slid in, as you remember last year, has now been ripped up from construction. So we'll see where it's going to be now. But it's sounding like,
rough.
yeah, it was.
That was rough.
It's sounding like, though, that the sliders are going to be a part of it again. So that will definitely be something that I'm interested in starting again and doing that for sure. So
what
still sticking with scaring.
What capacity of the park did they fill with monsters?
They were, so the park, SeaWorld Orlando, unlike SeaWorld San Diego, SeaWorld Orlando is kind of like a big, well, in simple terms, like a big circle around a lake.
Oh, okay.
And the one side of it, of the park, is a lot of the animals are on. And on the other side of the park, which is closer to the parking lot, there are animals, like the Shamu areas there, but they're very separated from everything, that they aren't very affected by anything around them. They kept all of the scaring away from the animals because they hadn't really figured out how they were going to do it and how it would affect them.
Yeah.
So it was still big enough to where it was a good size event, but they definitely, I know from what they were saying last year, was they now have an idea of more of how they can do it to where the animals, of course, are not affected by the noises and everything that's going on. And I know that they want to open up more of the roller coasters, a part of it too.
Yeah.
Just like Knott's, just like Howl Scream Tampa, because people love the roller coasters too at night. It's a big part of it. And so I can see it definitely being where, say, last year, it was probably 40% of the park, which, it could easily, I could see encompass maybe upwards into the 70% of the park.
Okay.
Upwards to there. So almost full capacity of the park, but not quite the certain spots. But upwards, yeah, I'd say 70 is a good number from what I was hearing that they were talking about.
So is Busch Gardens the Hollow Screams? Is that what they have an event, right?
Yeah, Busch Gardens Hollow Scream they've been in Florida as a haunt for quite some time now.
Yeah. Okay.
But they're so far from HHN Orlando. They're over an hour away that they don't really affect each other.
Right?
In Tampa, yeah.
Yeah, they're in Tampa, yeah.
You said Hollow Screen Tampa, and I was like, is he talking about Busch Gardens? So, yeah, I knew Busch Gardens had
Tampa,
one.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's one I want to go to also.
Yeah. And I love going to that event too, because it's fun going to one that I have no connection to, no work really at all, and just experience what they do, because they have great houses there too. They always have a good job there usually. So
nice.
Yeah, it's a good time.
I could just go around the country and do my thing and then visit these haunts too. And
that'd be the dream. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, you see the events in full action, and I get to see the guys that I work, that I've trained and gotten ready for these events.
Yeah. Well, I remember talking about coming to California and sliding a night with you at Dark Harbor before it got it didn't come back. We were talking about that. I remember. Yeah,
it's a bummer that things are still the way they are, but the ship is going through renovation.
Yep, that's true.
But it's already, what is it? We're in May now.
May.
Mm-hmm. April, we're in May and we haven't heard anything.
Yeah.
And so there's nothing been confirmed either way, but it's highly unlikely that Dark Harbor
this year.
Because they should have been already looking at starting to build pretty quick here.
Yeah.
Like the next month or so.
Hopefully soon in the coming years then.
Yeah, so it's a tough scenario over here, but a lot of the people that were characters there, they went to Scary Farm and other haunts, some at Hayride with me, inside of my team and outside of my team, so it was great.
Yep, that's good. Yeah, it's still wanting to do something. Everybody wants to be a part of something with it still. So
yeah, I know. Look at how long Jeremy and I have been in this business. It's been forever.
Oh yeah,
Jeremy's
absolutely.
just now starting to get back in, but before that, you had how many years, Jeremy?
For you 10 actual years, 11 including 15 at Knott's.
Yeah, so 11 years, yeah.
And the rest was just all behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So it's crazy.
That's quite some.
Yeah.
Yep.
We're old as dirt.
I'm trying to get off of the computer and trying to get a little bit more FaceTime in the industry.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you too. Out there, obviously they have cons and stuff like that out here. What's going on out there? Do they have any kind of conventions? I know you and I spoke briefly about one, but do they have like more than one convention out there for the haunted attraction business type of thing, or?
I mean, there might be some small ones that honestly I'm unaware of, but the main one, the one we've been talking about mostly, the Spooky Empire,
Okay.
is twice a year. Yeah, it's the summer time, and then the one that's in October, and that's always the one that's big because it's always, that one's always large, and it's in the middle of haunt season, and they it is, and it's always crowded. That one, the one in the summer or early spring isn't that crowded normally. It's at a smaller hotel. But the one in October is just like, I mean, that ton. You have the same thing, like you have Elvira, like, you know, she's been there before, Rob Zombie, you know, the usual people that kind of show up to these things.
Yeah.
But they do have it, and that's the place too that kind of you and I have talked about, where another place to eventually, as we're slowly trying to creep ourselves into it, to promoting like sliding and your company and other things to the haunt community in Orlando and Florida a little bit more. So I'm hoping in the future we can get more with that.
Yeah, that'd be, yeah. I know we talked about events out there.
Yeah.
You know, but I just didn't remember that one you're talking about. I couldn't remember the name for my freaking life. Spooky Empire.
Yeah, Spooky Empire. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, but dude, this has been a pretty good length podcast, and we got through all your history.
Hour and 40.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And what you think your future is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're still a young guy, dude. You're 30. So, I mean,
yeah,
the only way I could see you cutting out anytime early is because you can't phily do it anymore.
Yeah, no, and that's probably not going to happen because my job's requiring me
I was about to say, being a firefighter,
to be physical.
Yeah. Unless you retire and get married and have kids, then that'll be different.
Yeah. No, I see myself sticking around doing this for quite some time. But I do know I would like one of these years to take maybe like a weekend off here to go to the California events again, just to see them again.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, that would be a very busy weekend, dude.
Yes, it'd be a Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah. Well, that was the next question I was going to ask you was, do you ever see yourself relocating back to California and staying in the haunt community?
Yeah, I've thought about it. I've always said my dream fire department to work for is actually my hometown in Huntington Beach. That would be awesome to work for them. And if I ever was there, I would obviously try to, you know, incorporate my way back into the haunt community there. But the only thing is now is like here I'm kind of invested now in my department in terms of retirement and all that, building that. I own a home here, so I'm very grateful and blessed for that. I do take care of my mom, as you know, I told you earlier. And even though it's expensive still, the cost of everything here is a lot more affordable.
Yeah.
And a lot of things I've been blessed with here, I couldn't unfortunately do there in California. Right. So, but I'm fortunate enough to be able to visit quite often. And I've kind of been thinking lately that, you know, as life, you know, continues on and I, you know, move up in my real job in terms of the ranks, I would love to like purchase a condo out there in California or something that can allow me to stay there longer and visit a lot more frequently.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I have friends. I have plenty of friends and family that obviously live there from being from there. But like when you go back enough, you know, sometimes you always feel a little bad. You always don't want to, you know, crash on someone's couch all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely in the future it'd be fun. But I definitely would still like to, like, maybe sometime, you know, if Harbor comes back or whatever, I wouldn't mind coming out a night or two and trying to slide a little bit and scare for a night or two. That'd be fun.
Yeah, well, I'm sure we can make that happen if I'm still there.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you never know what life holds, you know.
Exactly.
The more your paths go. So, but yeah, it's, you know, I'd love to have you.
That'd be a great time.
Have you come?
Just like I'd love for you to come to ours every time you teach us all this stuff. I want you to join in next time.
I know. Maybe third time's a charm, dude. I don't know.
That'd be cool.
You know? So, but damn, Jordan, thanks for coming on and sharing your story.
Thank you.
You have a super busy schedule, and you know we appreciate you taking the time out to, you know, kind of shoot the shit with us and talk about your experiences and your history in the world. And it's funny when you think about it. It's still a pretty quote unquote young history, but
yes, it is.
Yeah, it's growing. You know what I mean? So, and you're hyped about it too. You know, and that's good.
Yep.
And that's what we want people to see too, is like, you know, these guys are everyday people, but they enjoy Halloween like everybody else. just maybe a little bit more, and that's why, you know, they do what they do. So
Yeah, absolutely.
Before we oops, I just kicked my camera.
I was like, what happened? That totally tripped me out.
Before we close this out, you want to plug your social media handles? I know you got some, so if you want to.
Yeah, my main one I only use now is Instagram. That's the main thing I use. I don't have the Twitter or anything like that.
No Twitter?
And all that. The Twitter, yeah, Twitter, yeah, Twitter, Snapchat, Snap, Facebook thing, yeah. My Instagram is J5150X.
X?
Well, the X, the 5150. Is it A now? Am I thinking that? Hold on.
It's A. Wait, is it A or X? I don't know. I don't remember.
Oh, that was my old one. Wow, I literally have it up and I'm reading it wrong. Yeah, J5150A. Wow.
J5150A. Okay.
J5150A. Yeah, that's my Instagram. And that's where I'm on.
The 5150, is that your firehouse?
5150 actually. So in California,
that's the
police and fire. They have 10 codes, and 5150 is a code for mental case.
Gotcha.
Because Jordan's mental.
yeah, mental. Yeah, it was actually really just because it was easy to remember.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's what it's from.
That's awesome. I like that.
Yep. So, but thank you guys. I appreciate you guys truly. I love your guys' podcast. It's awesome, and it's just cool to see something like this that's out there, you know, especially during the off season, you know, to hear people's stories and hear other people's like experiences and stuff that they do in the haunt scene. That's even not just scaring, whether it's makeup effects, you know, all that stuff. Like, it's awesome. Like, I truly enjoy it. You guys are both awesome guys and truly like the OGs of a lot of this, which is cool to always talk to you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, we're old farts, dude.
Yeah, it's good to finally meet you, man. Scott talks about you a lot, and you know, I've been looking forward to finally getting some FaceTime with you. And if you come out, let me know. I'll go out to SoCal. I'm in NorCal, so
cool.
Yeah, so if you come out for a haunt, I'm planning on being out there quite a bit this October. So
that'd be awesome. Get a couple of us together, and go to some haunts. I'd love that.
Yeah, it'd be rad. Yeah. Get him to take a weekend off. Or a night off.
Yeah, right.
Or at least a night off.
Just get one night, yeah.
Yeah. So
who knows where I'll be?
Yeah, wherever you'll be.
That's true.
You never know.
Cool, man.
You know
appreciate you coming on, man.
Thanks, guys.
We'll end it here. Guys, thank you for watching again. And like always, like and subscribe and smash that like button.
Smash the subscribe button and smash the like button.
Sorry. I tried to go with what Scott loves and I screwed it up. So
he makes
That's
it
right.
I always say, make sure you punch that like button and smash the subscribe.
You always on last week's episode they kind of made fun of me, so
awesome.
That was with Bobby.
The
line drummer.
So I was like, all right, I gotta run with it. I can't be so corporate and so serious.
That's right.
And so organized, fuckers. All right, dude. Talk to you later. Thank you guys for watching. Peace.